by what he truly represents, which is a swindler.
Well, hello there, social media family. Being as y'all are any persons among yourselves, being from my subscribers to visitors alike who are affiliated, associated with, and are representing my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat conversation. How are you all doing? And for that matter, how are any of your loved ones, being any person among themselves, otherwise being from relatives or family members to friends of the many different households? Well, hopefully everything is copacetic. Hopefully each and every one of you is feeling quite peachy or mellow. Well, that's not exactly what I meant to say, but that's one way of putting it. Hopefully you all have it made in the shade, and depending on what season of the year it is, well, hopefully you will be making reference to summer, to avoid getting, that what do you call it? I think you all get the general idea what I'm trying to say. In other words, keep yourself from being, that is burned to a crisp, like an egg on a city or suburban sidewalk during the time frame period is that, yeah, the heat blast being as it is. And hopefully you all will feel quite mellow, then possibly come or be dehydrated during some or such other season of the year. Being because just as it could possibly become hot as damn hell in the summertime, then it could possibly become the coldest damn hell in the wintertime. And so they have got to dress accordingly. And as well, make sure you get your proper nourishment and sleep for that matter. And some such exercise of some kind. Yes, hopefully you all are feeling at least okay, if not better. Yet to be said and stated for the record, all right, whereas there is supposed to be a difference between the two words. And or if not best of all, be put like this here, whereas any could, lay claim to having supposedly become or be of a status to be expressed, whereas somebody could possibly say in a state for record that supposedly oneself is feeling blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, your family members and friends, as well as yourselves, and me and mine for that matter. And move right along. And whereas that being of tonight's, or the present social media broadcast being as it is, some such video content material is that being of which I am hoping to address an issue at hand as accurately as possible, as it is supposed to be about involving regarding or making some such reference to the likes of whom would be among themselves likewise to be considered the rank and file of the criminal elements of any given society, country, or nation. Usual suspects and public enemy number ones, and whereas they themselves are supposedly one of the known street gangs or cliques throughout any city or suburban community for the different vicinity area neighborhoods. And this particular one is supposed to be that of the Latin Kings. And whereas most recently one of its leaders, supposed so-called leaders, like if they're the leader of some kind of a Fortune 500 business company or corporation, whereas all they do is just, run drugs, pimp, and money launder, pickpocket, and purse snatch, forged checks, whatever other illegal criminal activities. Anyway, though, as I was about to say, backtrack here, the reason purpose being, in order so I can go into problem to continue from where and when my person at last left off, so I can finish up as complete a form purified line thought. And whereas one of his leaders has supposedly threatened a, what was it, an ICE agent or U.S. Border Control employee. Yeah, one of them had put out a contract hit, a $10,000 hit upon the, executive CEO of a law enforcement agency. Somebody by the name of, hold it, I have to do it. Okay, just bear with me.
Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California.
Oh, yeah. The Latin street gang, the high-ranking Latin street gang leader in question among the likes of his colleagues. His name is supposed to be Juan Espinosa Martinez, and whereas he himself had ordered a contract hit to be put upon the head of U.S. Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino, and whereas he was supposedly arrested upon the date of October 6, 2025. That is for a Monday. That's like a few days ago.
You're not fighting the seasons. You're ready for them.
Yeah.
Power to defend. Maha starts with
a couple or a few days ago, when this dinosaur turd social reject, had done so at some or such a given moment in time, as if a known street gang can really challenge and or compete with, a military force or a police department or law enforcement agency or whatever sort or kind. It's just ridiculous, all that stinking thinking upon one's own part. Like I say, it's ridiculous, but that is what had happened most recently, coming from this poop butter piss ant, and I myself am like, how dare him, how dare him to go there? What was he thinking? Was he drinking or smoking anything or what? Maybe he was smoking that one of their own street drugs that they be selling, that or some such.
The intention of Tobacco's NYC was to celebrate these female athletes in a huge spectacular
ridiculous,
way.
So we have other breaking news that we're following this afternoon. A high-ranking member of a street gang is charged with putting a hit out on a senior law enforcement official involved with Operation Midway Blitz. Police arrested 37-year-old Juan Espinosa Martinez this morning. And according to the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Chicago, Martinez sent a Snapchat message stating, quote, $2K on information when you get him, and $10K if you take him down. The Tribune reports the alleged target was Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. A court date has not been set.
And that's how? How crazy can you be, you know? Hmm? I mean, how crazy is that? Y'all know what I'm saying? You know? I mean, I would think that any known gang banging leader, any known leader of a street gang should know better than to go that route. I mean, I mean, there are a number of things or stuff, or a number of statements to be said for the record that would validate or verify or confirm what I have said and will stay for the record. And like say for one thing, among other lines of thought to be considered, you know, the majority of most gangbangers when they fire in a piece, you know, they hit some of such a anything and everything, as well as everyone, or anybody and everybody else, with the exception of their targets being focuses of their attention being of a rival gangbanger. So how much more they would fire off, you know, rounds and not hit a police officer, a cop, because police officers and detectives, they train every day, or some of them, more often than not. Well, I would say at least 1/3 of them. Is that what I mean to say? No, that could possibly be an understatement, not the half of them. Maybe it's like half or the majority, or most, if not all of them. They train every day, either every day or every other day, or every night or every other night, upon a shooting firing range with different makes and models of loaded lethal weapons of firearms. You know what I'm saying? Even with, you know, the ones that shoot off dummy bullets, you know. So how in the world is a known street gang that does not practice on the shooting range with lethal weapons of firearms going to compete with, you know, police officers and detectives who are regularly on some shooting range that much more, practicing with the same loaded lethal weapons of firearms? And even so, the ones that shoot off dummy bullets or dummy pellets, that's just some stinking thinking. That's crazy for a gang leader to put out a contract hit upon a police officer or cop, you know, or detective or whatever I said. You know, it just goes to show one does not even have any kind of self-esteem in oneself, because if one wanted a police officer, a cop dead so much, then why don't oneself do it, you know, like so, take out the offending person who represent one of the pillars of society compared to what oneself represents, being of which is just a poop button, pissant, gang banging organization, or one of the social reject cliques of the criminal riffraff. So obviously and evidently, he wants to put somebody else up to the job, and because you know, he's himself is having a phobia, fear that if he miss his target, that he's going down for the count, and being of which eventually, obviously, and or eventually 9 times out of 10 he would, because if any gangbanger shooting any lethal weapons of firearms, you know, pulling triggers or some or such, or whatever makes or model, and they manage to hit their target, it's really more often than not, 9 times out of 10, just a lucky shot, okay? Because all they do is shoot at one another and this, and then, try to, the word try is meant for law-abiding American citizens, foreigners, if anything. Whereas the word attempt is more like to be associated with the likes of them, or it's the appropriate word to use. When it comes to likes of them, the criminal riffraff, social reject, and getting back to what I was trying to say, or as I try to complete the former line about here now. And whereas, if anything, if and when they attempt to shoot at any rival gangbangers and miss, then they just from there call a rap and attempt to do so whenever they could possibly encounter a conflict of interest or their rival counterparts or still other gang banging, hoop busting, piss ass thugs to the bone who ain't got a pot to piss in or a pan to throw it out of. The only thing I can give them credit for is having money to get a good lawyer if they want one. After all that criminal activity, after all that criminal activity they would engage in to get money, whereas nothing else I really don't respect them for. I respect that they can get a good lawyer. That's the only thing I respect about them. They can get a good lawyer when they need one. All that money they be making. Not that it condones all that illegal criminal activities in one regard or another that they be engaged in. And the only career alternative option for advancement for the illegal criminal lifestyle preference that they have chosen for themselves, decided to live, is jail, the hospital, the grave. And on that last note of interest, I'd like to conclude by saying in more words than less. That is, if you have not gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done and did upon the cross of Calvary and hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of Roman soldiers up on the orders of their superiors, mainly among the religious Pharisees and Sadducees. But then, nevertheless, whereas he went to that cross of Calvary to become the perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. Do not steal my remark. Physical justice, I'm going to have copyright sometimes that someone risk it being plagiarized. Whereas if any of us, regardless of race, walk of life, gender, age, and etc., were to profess some such faith in him, from there we become and be blessed in one regard another in more ways than one. First and foremost, with his salvation, being which is the only means by which any can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. And as his blood sacrifice of salvation is the only fire assurance against the lake of fire down hell. And the second law, which is deliverance. But nevertheless, if you don't get his salvation, then your final destination will become the lake of fire down hell, compared to others who will become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. So get it while you can, for tomorrow is not promised to anybody. And on the last note, we out. Peace.